Okay, so we are now on a mission. Since we now have our rank 70 weapon that we can use when we're level 43, our goal is to become level 43 as quickly as possible. Now, when I say we're on a mission, what I mean is we're going to be doing exactly the same thing that we have been doing, which is running rifts. Because that is the most efficient way of leveling up. We've been over this, people. There's no news here. See, this guy, he has one of his affixes is Juggernaut, which is a somewhat annoying one. Juggernaut simply means that he has a health pool that's like, 5 times as large as normal. So it's basically just, it'll take longer to kill him. These guys have Illusionist, which means they can spawn copies of themselves, which you just saw there. Those copies can be killed pretty quickly, so that's fine. They also had Frozen, so they can lay like down these frozen blasts on the ground. You gotta avoid them, or you're gonna be frozen. These guys have Electrified, basically means that if you hit them, they shoot electricity that runs across the ground, and it hurts you to stand close to them. Some of these enemy affixes you can play around, and some you kinda can't. So it all sort of depends on your build, but you're doing that when you're playing. You're paying attention to the affixes that the champion enemies have, to note what you need to do or not. And when we started playing, they had like one affix, the champions and elites. Now, when we're up to level 38, they have 2 affixes. And when you get up to rank 70, or level 70, they're gonna have 4. They're gonna have like 4 different sort of special abilities at the same time. And some of these, obviously, combo with each other and work very well together. Delicious blood shards. We're getting pretty close up to the limit of how many blood shards we can carry. At which point, we're gonna have to gamble them away. Because if you get more than you can carry, you simply can't pick them up. And that's a waste. Otherwise, the goal is to save up on blood shards so that we have the maximum of 500 exactly when we hit level 70. And then we can gamble for a bunch of max level gear, the first thing we do when we reach max level. And hopefully get like, a couple of legendaries, 1 or 2, to sort of get us started on being able to plow through max level content. We are, after all, doing the seasonal journey, and by seasonal journey, what I mean by that is the sort of, I'm not gonna say mandatory because nothing about the seasonal journey is mandatory, but to get the sort of like seasonal reward, which can be maybe like a pet, a new one, maybe like a banner or something, who knows. I think you have to reach, I don't know, stage 4 of the seasonal journey or something to get that. And that's very attainable. It's like, it's not gonna take very long. Then if you wanna, you can keep going. Obviously, there's more goals you can get for yourself after that in the seasonal journey. One thing is like a teeny tiny little thing. Like, I don't know, most people don't care about it. But it's the portrait flame, so to speak. The sort of decorations and ornaments around your portrait up in the top left. Which is an indicator. It just shows how far you got in the seasonal journey. Here, I'll show you. Let's see. If you go to your collection here. Oh, portrait frame, not flame. Ha ha ha. So you can get like these different things to just show other people you play with how far you got in the seasonal journey or whatever. And if you completed the entire thing, You get the... Is that Conqueror? Is that the best one? Or is it Guardian? I don't remember. Might be Guardian, which is the best one. So I've gotten it for some seasons. I haven't collected all of them for all seasons. But I guess that's like a neat little thing. If you're into that. Other than that, the reason to keep going, if you look at like some actual sort of valuable reward, is there's like one breakpoint in the seasonal journey where you get another stash tab. And that's super relevant. Everyone always needs more stash space. So yeah. If you want to work toward another stash tab, that's something you can do. But we're not going to do that this season. And like, frankly, if you just want to play the game, like, and if you play the season a lot, like, you're gonna reach the power level to where you can get that stash tab pretty easily. It's not a question of skill, to be honest. It is a question of time investment. If you get invested in a season, sure, it sort of plays itself in like you're gonna put the hours in. You're gonna put the hours in, you're gonna get the gear, you're gonna get the level ups, you're gonna get the Paragon levels, and you're gonna get all the things you need. You're gonna get the items so that you can run the set dungeons. It's just a matter of just taking the time to do it. But you don't have to be like a Super Diablo Pro. You seriously don't. Alright, we're up to 39. So we've gotten 3 levels since we started. We need 4 more. And after that, like, trust me, things are gonna be speeding up. And they're gonna be speeding up pretty goddamn hard. And we're gonna hit that 70. Which is the first step to actually playing the game. And, there we go, 40. That's a good number, right? And as you can see, I'm not sort of like slowing down to swap out skills or anything like that. You kind of don't need to. I'm pretty comfortable with what I have. I have the Mystic Ally, which is just always active. It doesn't require any input from me. You know what? I can just stay on this level, to be honest. I don't have to go down to another one. I have an Aura, which is also a passive thing. Which, you know, I'm fine with that too. I just use my left mouse button as my generator and my right mouse button as my spender. See, there's the Rift Guardian. Didn't need to drop to another floor. My number 2 is a mobility skill, which I use to sort of like just dash and zoom around. So the only one that's sort of optional is my number 1 skill, the Blinding Flash. Because the Blinding Flash is just like a sort of a temporary stun on enemies. And it gives me a little bit of spirit back whenever I use it. That one is replaceable. So we can look into that after we've done this rift to see what we're gonna get rid of. I mean, to what we're gonna replace it with. There are a couple of different options. If you want more sort of single target damage, you can maybe get a skill that does that. If you want more AoE, that can be arranged too. Now then. Sorry, straight upgrade. No. This is interesting. This is a one-handed sword that's like getting close to doing the same damage as my two-handed thing. Which is an indicator that I should be replacing my two-handed thing. Which I can do. Which I can obviously do. There is another thing I can do as well. Which is probably even better. Now I'm starting to find square ruby, so these things are already sort of obsolete. And these are super obsolete. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna upgrade some stuff. Specifically, rubies. So I got 3 of these. I remove this. I got 4 of them. I can make 2 flawless square rubies. I can not bump those again. I need 3, I think. But that increased my damage a fair bit. And let's get some more EXP in there as well. Here, we can get better emeralds. And 2 square emeralds, I like that. Gives way more dexterity. Boom, that increases our damage even more. And yeah, that's about it. And I'm not really paying a whole lot of attention to management of these right now. I will do that later. When we get the ones we're actually gonna keep. And what you can do also is, it's a bit wasteful maybe, but you can see, you can do a level 38 thing, a level 37 thing, 37, 40, level 40, but I need 2 of them. But what if they don't get, like, there we go. Let's craft like 2 of these. There we go. Look at this. It's got dexterity. It's got a socket. Even without the ruby in it, it's a 20% damage upgrade. So, with the ruby in it, yeah, 68%. There. Now we're doing damage. At least a little bit more. At least a little bit more. But we're not aiming for a little bit more. We're aiming for bonkers damage. Now, Blinding Flash. Let's get rid of the Blinding Flash. Let's use Sweeping Wind. Let's use Firestorm. Bam. And you're like, what's that? I'll tell you what that is. You activate it. There. And you get this sort of aura around you. And you gotta maintain it by hitting enemies. And if you don't hit enemies, you have to reapply it manually or it disappears. And you're like, well, what does it matter if it disappears? Why can't you just let it disappear and then activate it again when there's more enemies around? Well, you see, it's simple. It has a number on it. You see that number? It says 3. That's because it gains stacks. What does it gain stacks for? Well, it gains stacks when you do crits on enemies. So if you have like a low crit chance, it might take a while to build up maximum stacks on it. See there? I reapplied it manually. The more stacks it has, the more damage it does. That's basically it. So this hurts, like, look, I'm not even gonna hit the enemies. I'm just gonna run around. You see the health bars on the enemies? See the health bars up there? Yeah, they're going down. So this is actually doing quite a lot of damage to everything. See there? I didn't pay attention to my stacks and I lost it. Now it's back down to rank 1. Now I gotta hit enemies again. And I gotta do crits. I gotta hope for crits in order to get my stacks back up so that I do more damage. And there are builds around this. And this is kind of the build that I'm gonna go toward at level 70 with a new item set. It's an item set that synergizes with this. Not the one with the fire rune, but the one with cyclones. But yeah, the sweeping wind and Tempest Rush. Tempest Rush is the skill that makes you run fast, basically. So you got your big AoE thing, and with the cyclone rune on it, you drop cyclones. You drop cyclones around you whenever you do critical hits. So there's like cyclones swirling around all over the screen, hurting enemies. And you run fast, so you run all across the map and hit everything. And then you do crits, and then you do cyclones, and you do tons of damage. And this was like the vanilla build for Monk, one of them. The Sweeping Wind Tempest Rush thing. So it's a real classic. It's a real blast from the past. Oh, hello there. This is A Gilded Baron. They drop gold. A lot more depending on what your difficulty level is and your level is. So this one dropped 170,000, which would have been an absolutely bonkers amount of gold if I hadn't done the challenge rift. But since I have done the challenge rift, it's like kind of nothing. But that's fine. We've been through this. I talked about the challenge rift with you before in one of the earlier episodes. Did you watch that? Did you watch this from the beginning? You should. It's not a whole lot of episodes. It's not that much to go through. And you get to hear me shit talk Blizzard and what they did with the whole China fiasco. That's a good time. Yeah. And you're like, alright, but is there like a story to this game? Is there more than just running through these random levels and killing monsters? The answer is yes. Yes, there is a story to this game. It's not super impressive, but it exists. And there is a campaign. The campaign is 5 acts. It's got some pretty goddamn cool cutscenes. But I'm not gonna play that on this channel, because this game is like 6 or 7 years old. Everyone's already seen those. Everyone already knows about that. No. We're playing the game. We're playing Diablo, people. No one plays Diablo for the story. I don't think anyone ever has to play Diablo from the story. The story of Diablo has pretty much always been an afterthought. And that's pretty much by design, alright? When they made the very first Diablo game, originally, like in planning, it didn't even have a story. It was just the dungeon crawl, and that was sort of like the idea behind the game. That's what it was gonna be. It's what it was supposed to be. But then I guess they checked it out with like focus groups and stuff, and they were like, I don't know, people. I don't know if this is gonna be a hit. I don't know if people are gonna buy like a game that doesn't have a story. Could you like tack something on? And they're like, all right, we'll tack something on. And how about Diablo and the Lords of Hell? And they're like, yeah, cool. Alright, now I actually have to gamble a bit, because now I can't even pick up these blood shards. And I'm not even joking, people. Like, that was it. Diablo was never even supposed to have a story in the first place. But they, you know, they added some stuff, and then they've expanded on that stuff over time. But it's not exactly Shakespearean writing, let's put it that way. Alright, what are we gambling for? I don't know. Maybe some pants, some gloves, some bracers. Let's see if we can find something cool here. 3 bracers. And how about 3 gloves? And 3 pants. That's it. Is anything here an upgrade? That's an upgrade. I'm just looking if it's red or green, basically. If it's 3% increased damage, but everything else sucks. No, damage gonna be fine. We need survivability a bit more than we need damage right now. Alright, those were the best ones. Scrap. And this had a socket, which means we're gonna give ourselves some more HP. How about that? And now we can pick up these blood shards. And at this point, I feel like just like the story of Diablo is... I'm gonna call it serviceable. That's basically it. Diablo 3 has issues with its writing. But even when it comes to the actual sort of game world, I'm gonna call it serviceable. It's not some sort of like fantasy masterpiece. It never has been. There's weirdness with like just, you know, the choices for naming conventions. Diablo. That's like is that Spanish or Latin? I'm gonna say it sounds like Spanish. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe it is Latin. Who knows? And then you have stuff like Asmodan and I don't know, like Isual, stuff like that. It sounds sort of like almost Hebrew, some of it. Mixed with Mephisto, and you know, it's all over the place. You got some Latin in there, you got some Hebrew, you got some sort of Christian stuff, you got some stuff with connotations to other religions, but these are all sort of like just, you know, our religions in our world. Diablo, like that's the devil, that's the Christian devil. But this does not take place in our world. This takes place in a different world called Sanctuary. So that's weird. I don't know. Lore-wise, Diablo is a bit clunky. It's a bit clunky. But that's okay. We play it because it's a cool ARPG. I wanted to reapply my Sweeping Wind, but I couldn't, because it costs a metric fuckton of spirit to apply it. And, sadness. Couldn't do it. I'm standing right in this frozen pulse. Maybe I shouldn't. So as you can see now, we have hit level 43. So, as soon as we've dealt with this here Rift Guardian, we are going to equip our rank 70 weapon. We're gonna get our plus 2000% damage, and then we're gonna bump up the difficulty. We're gonna bump up the difficulty by 100-fold. I'm gonna have to be a bit careful about, you know, where I walk. Ooh, an amulet. Ooh, a two-handed mace. Now, I'm happy about the amulet. The two-handed mace, I do not give a shit about, because guess what? We're not going to be using that. Shabam! Alright. There's a book here that lets you identify all of your legendaries at the same time. Very nice, very time-saving. Remember to use that. That's an upgrade. That's not really an upgrade. Not really an upgrade. Artef, Spark of Life. I mean, it's good, except plus 22% damage is not as good as plus 1000% damage. But we're gonna save it because we can put it in the cube. This thing, area damage, cooldown reduction, and more dexterity. Yeah, sure. That sounds neat. You like those things. And it also had a socket, so I'm gonna put that in. We're gonna go for more vitality. Like I said, damage not gonna be a problem. And look at this. Our damage is 5,000 per second, whatever. No, it's not. It's 80,000 per second. 80,000. That's a good number. That's a good big number. I like that number. So since our damage just went from 5,000 to 80,000, we're gonna go to the game settings and we're gonna change the difficulty to the highest we can possibly put it at, which is Torment 6. Oh yeah.